Welcome back to Monday Mod Tips. I am Captain Xavier, and today we're going to be covering the very, very basics of light-emitting diodes, otherwise known as LEDs. An LED, as that name would suggest, is a diode that emits light. It is an electric device, you put current through it, and it does whatever it's supposed to do. Now, there are a huge variety of different LEDs, so you're going to want to do research on which ones you want. They come in different voltages, they come in different power, lumens, they come with all sorts of different features. These ones have a neat feature that we will see a little bit later that other LEDs do not have. So you're going to have to do a lot of research and figure out exactly which ones you want. You're going to want to make sure that you know what voltage they come in, because if you put too much voltage through an LED, it will pop like a fuse. You also want to make very sure that you put the current through in the right direction, because they are direction specific. If you plug in an LED the wrong way, it will either not work, or more likely it will burn out and then you will ruin it. So the industry standard for this style of LED is that the longer wire is the positive wire, and the shorter one is therefore the negative. That may not be the case on all of them. You will want to check the documentation, and not all LEDs look like this. So once again, you will need to do a little of your own research to find exactly which ones you want. These ones are 3 volt, and I happen to have a 3 volt CR2032 battery, and if we just slide the LED over it so that the negative is touching the bottom and the positive is touching the top, it lights up, and you'll notice it's automatically cycling through colors. So it starts red and then goes to green and then goes to blue and eventually cycles back through all the way. And if we put multiple LEDs on here at slightly different times, they will cycle out of sync with each other, which is neat. You wouldn't really be able, it would be much more difficult to do that in a blaster, because you'd have to find some way to determine when, how, you know, a delay between each one getting power, which can be done with the right, circuit board. But it'd be a lot more complicated. And they do have fancy LED strips that come pre-programmed, or that you can program yourself to do whatever you want, and it's really very, very cool. But if you're doing it manually, that would be much more difficult. More likely what you're going to do is you're going to have them all wired up in parallel. And by parallel, I mean that all of the negatives are touching and all of the positives are touching, either by literally connecting them to each other like I've done here, but more likely you would have wires running from one to the next, or just multiple wires running from the battery leads to all of the different positives and all of the different negatives. And now when we connect them together, they all turn on at the same time, and so they will all oscillate at the same rate, assuming that the tolerances in the actual LEDs are well made. To wire them into a blaster would be relatively simple. You would have, wherever your battery is mounted, the negative would go to the negative on all of your LEDs. The positive would then go to the normally open on a switch, and then the COM on the switch would go to all of your positives on all of your LEDs. And so when you flip the switch or press the switch, it would complete the circuit, and your LEDs would turn on. And that's pretty much it for the basics of LEDs. Mounting them, there's lots of different ways you can do them. These ones you see do have a slight lip, so you could drill a hole that was the size of the bulb, but not the tip, and then mount them in that way. You can simply hot glue them in place. You can create your own little mountings for them. There's lots of different ways to do it, and it's all going to depend on the purpose. Most LEDs are slightly directional. They do, shine a light forward. So if you want that shining out, or if you just want it seen from the side, the mounting is something that is going to depend from blaster to blaster and from person to person. But that is the basics that you need to know on how to not blow them up, and just how to wire them in general. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, requests for future episodes, go ahead and put them in the comments section below. And thank you for watching.